Hello and welcome back to UI Chat from the Interface, the monthly show talking about everything Ubiquiti and networking. I'm your host Alex, and once again I'm joined by my co-host Evan McCann. Welcome, Evan. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about something. I think we could try something a little different this month. How do you feel about a guest?
Oh yeah. Let's see if someone's there. Hi, Jesse.
Hello.
Hello.
Anybody home?
Awesome. So we have a special guest this time, Jesse Nowlin from the tabGeeks YouTube channel. So how are you doing, Jesse? Good to have you on the show.
Good, thank you. A wild Jesse has appeared for the audio listeners.
Awesome. So obviously in this show we go through a lot of Ubiquiti news, a lot of networking stuff as well. And what we like to do at the top of the show is decide on a title as well. Sometimes. So we've got a few different things here. So we've got Enterprise Friendly Giant. This is in reference to the EFG we're going to discuss. We've got Premium Audio, Premium Guest Host. What do you think, Evan?
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't really love any of those. I figured something acknowledging a guest host would be fun, but maybe that'll spoil the surprise. Yeah, I don't know. Something with premium, though. It seems like the obvious route.
Okay, we'll go for one of those. Premium is the new Pro, I think we'll go for. Awesome.
UI Chat Premium Pro Max.
We've done like the Pro Max and Pro Max Plus, and
Yeah.
Awesome. So last time me and Evan recorded, literally the day after we recorded, there was a ton of stuff that dropped. I think the day after we recorded, the EFG launched, and so did the UXG Enterprise. So I want to go through those devices first. At Hostify, we're finding some of our customers are quite confused the difference between the two, which is quite funny. So we've got the EFG and we've got the UXG Enterprise, but the UXG Enterprise is hidden on the site. But like they look identical, but the UXG Enterprise is not available just yet. So these are Ubiquiti's sort of really, really high-end routing devices, and it's just unfortunate they were announced the day after we recorded last time.
Yeah, I'm beginning to
Well,
think...
the UXG Enterprise isn't available until the end of next month anyway, a month from now.
That's right, yeah. What's funny is these two devices are very, very similar, so there was some thought by people that why can't the software be interchangeable to make them become, why they sort of software locked to each other, because they are very, very similar, pretty much, aren't they? So
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to the way the UDM Pro and UXG Pro have kind of the same underpinnings. It's just whether you want to build in controller or not. I don't know if they're literally the exact same hardware. They are as far as quoted CPU specs, RAM, interfaces, those kind of things. It's just the EFG, which has a very unfortunate name. I'll just say EFG, so I don't have to say Enterprise Fortress Gateway. That does have the built-in controller functionality, so it's kind of the all-in-one console, UniFi OS console, whatever they're calling them now.
yeah.
And then the UXG Enterprise is the standalone. You need to run the UniFi Network software separately. So I think people always get tripped up by that, but this is just something that Ubiquiti has done over and over again.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to play with the EFG yet, Jesse, at all?
No, I haven't. Unfortunately, they do usually send me a lot of their gear when they announce it or beforehand. Given that most of my clients are not enterprise, mega stadium scale clients, that I think they were looking for folks who could actually show it in deployment first, similar to how they did with the forum and the FedEx forum, and showing off that it is and has already actually been running there, which is a very cool use case.
Yeah, 100%. I think the EFG, it is a UniFi OS console, but it can't run any other apps than network, I believe. So that's where it differs from the Pro Max, UDM, and other devices. So it is a standalone thing. And there was an interesting tidbit we found. So the UXG and the UXG Enterprise and the EFG support. I think we discussed this last episode. I can't remember, but it was something to do with certificates and doing packet inspection that way. Ubiquiti have put specifically on their website that requires a Cloud Key Enterprise or official hosting. But we've reached out to, at Hostify, we've reached out to Ubiquiti directly, and they said yes, it should work with Hostify. So we're waiting to test that whenever it comes out, which is quite an interesting development because it's different to what they've said. So
yeah, it makes sense that both of these would either be controlled by something else or only run UniFi Network, because if you're at this stage and you want to do cameras, you're running Protect on a dedicated device, you're running each of the individual things on, their own dedicated devices. You're not in the all-in-one range.
Yeah, 100%. So these, in terms of their routing stats and sort of their things they're capable of, we have got some quite impressive specs, really. So both of them are capable of multi-WAN load balancing. I found this insane. I think 23 gigabits per second when you've got all the stuff turned off, which is just incredible. And then with everything turned on, 12.5 gigs, just crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, it's some serious data going through it. But again, if you're at the size of the, a sports arena,
yeah,
you've got over 10,000, 20,000, whatever more, depending on the size of the arena that are on the network. It's going to need to be able to handle all that. So
yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
I want one just because it's the, most insane hardware that they've ever built, but
yeah,
a little bit out of my price point.
Yeah. And what's curious is whether or not you have the built-in controller. So whether you go for the EFG or the UXG Enterprise, they're both the same price. So it's $2,000 US. I'm not sure about European or Canadian pricing. I'm sure it's a little bit more. And yeah, what they brand as Next AI inspection, the SSL TLS decryption, that's probably the most interesting point, because for the most part, it's just bigger, badder, more throughput, higher speed interfaces, shadow mode like we have on the UDM Pro and all the other devices. But this Next AI, it's only on these two devices as far as I know. And I saw that same note about it requires the CloudKey Enterprise, which is a $5,000 rack mount appliance, or their official subscription. So it's good to hear that it's coming to, I would assume, third-party hosting as well. You said they confirmed that's coming at some point in the future.
Ubiquiti support confirmed it to us that it will work. So we're waiting to test that whenever the UXG comes out at the end of next month. Sorry. So, but yeah.
And one other thing, I don't think I put it in the show notes. I just noticed that they also have an add-on subscription for IDS IPS where they have more categories and more real-time updates. I don't really know the details. I didn't see pricing because it's only available in the UniFi Site Manager, and I don't have one. So I noticed that that's kind of like an add-on subscription they added for these products too. It seems like it's only on these two.
I didn't see that. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, so the EFG is available now, and the UXG Enterprise is coming at the end of September, at least for US, Canada, and Europe. So
yeah, definitely.
More to come.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that the EFG states that it includes 90 days of professional phone support, but the Gateway Enterprise does not.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Yeah, pretty much. Interestingly, with the site support, that now the availability of that has now been extended to self-hosted controllers, but they charge you per site. So if you've got a server or whatever with a load of sites on it, it's priced per site, even on a massive server. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, before we get into the rest of the hardware, we've got just some general news. This is usually called Enterprise Watch. So Ubiquiti they announced the Enterprise Partner Program. Not much information is known about this yet. There's just a form you can fill in. There's links in the show notes to that, but they just ask you, do you have a customer in mind with a project that's budgeted that you'd like to deploy the EFG for? And I guess they help you work it out of what you need. So it's interesting. They're sort of delving into that stuff. They did sort of reveal that plan at UWC earlier this year, but it's good to see it out in public. So
yeah, so I actually got into the program. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about at this point.
Okay.
I guess I should have checked the show notes and asked them about this beforehand, but I'm pretty sure this email went out to anybody who's in the program, and so therefore it's probably okay for me to talk about.
Sure.
There's not a lot of info in here, but essentially it just outlines who they're working with, you need distributors, etc., how you're going to go through their process for setting it up, building a solution, registering it, etc. And it looks like there's some kind of keeping up to date with the latest information, probably a dedicated newsletter or email or something along those lines. So I'm very excited about this. This is something that when I was at the Chicago event, which they just announced the new one, more on that later, I guess, the Ubiquiti World Congress, I always get those two confused, and conference, Ubiquiti World Conference. And, one of the feedback that everybody had in the audience there was, well, if you're going to do support per site and you're going to be doing things per site, we're supporting 100 sites, 200 sites. We really need an MSP program. And it seems that this might be headed in that direction. So I don't know. I'll be very excited to see it.
Sure. Yeah, and speaking of the UniFi World Conference, literally today, so we're recording on the 28th of August, they've announced the next event, which is in a few months' time. So they're going to host it in Miami. Are you going to try and get to this one, Evan, this time?
Oddly enough, I am going to Florida. I think it's 2 days after that. So this is, I believe, middle of the week. I believe it's a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little bit tricky for me to get to Florida 2 days earlier, although I'm going to see. Probably won't be able to get there, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you sadly missed the last one, didn't you? So
yeah.
I'm hoping this isn't a one-off thing. Because when I went to the London one, they did say we're going to do more in the future. So I guess it's just another round of these conferences again. So hopefully at some point in the new year, or maybe later in the year, they'll do another one in Europe and stuff. So it'd be quite good because it was good fun.
Yeah, I had a blast at the Chicago one, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to make it this year because it is a Jewish holiday, so I'll be totally offline. Otherwise, I would have already booked my tickets for it. It's going to be in Miami this year instead of Chicago. Let me tell you, I froze my ass off last year. It was cold, and I'm in t-shirt, Ubiquiti t-shirt for the audio listeners over there, official swag here. I live in Southern California. It is 78 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and okay. It was a little cloudy this morning, but it's gorgeous now. So going from that to Chicago, I'm originally from New England, but I think after 20 years being out, it's starting to fade, unfortunately, my cold resistance. So I definitely would have liked to have gone to Miami for this one, but I don't know if they go international with it or Canada or somewhere, maybe I'll catch one of the international shows or something.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. And then
gotta meet you guys in person.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then it was earlier this week, I think on Monday, they released one of their Ubiquiti update videos. This one was called Welcome to UniFi Integrations. And this was full of stuff, which we'll get to some of the new hardware in a bit. Do you want to run us through what we saw in that video, Evan?
Yeah, it was one of those like splashy 2-minute videos that they seem to love to do, where they mention a lot of either recent updates, they kind of summarize recent software, hardware, and sometimes they drop news and like you give it 3 seconds and move on. So there's a couple things. Probably the big one was the premium audio, which is a piece of hardware, the PowerAmp, and it's also a new mobile application. It's a whole new business for them in a way. Like it almost seems like them encroaching on Sonos. And of course they spent about 5 seconds on it and moved on it. But the bigger theme of it was integration. So it's tying to outside services. They mentioned Alarm Manager, tying into Slack to send Slack notifications when someone rings a doorbell. Passport, which is guest wireless, and a couple other things. So there's a lot of like little interesting nuggets in that, and not a lot of details on any of them.
Yeah, those videos are super cool. Like, I just wonder how long they take to make. You got your cat as the guest again.
I always love those videos and go over them with a magnifying glass and a fine-tooth comb, almost frame by frame, because they'll be like, they showed off a rack. What all the things of the rack? And I see if I can recognize all of them and name all of them. And a little bit trivia, a little bit fun, but a little bit, oh my, there's a new unreleased product there, including something in the last video that they still haven't talked about that I'm not going to mention. But go watch it and then turn to Reddit and see what you find. But I see that I feel that the UniFi integration, what they're doing here is essentially the support structure for the enterprise path that they're building out now, right? They're moving into being able to offer bigger, better, faster, stronger features and hardware for larger organizations. And larger organizations, the first thing they're going to say is, all right, how do I plug it into the rest of my stuff? And so having the beginnings of the API and having the beginnings of webhooks and notifications and being able to tap those things into other systems and doing it in a very Ubiquiti way, I think is a core part of their strategy here. And from what I can see, it's a very solid start.
Yeah, it looks cool. Lots of cool stuff in those. I didn't even know that you could even get stuff from UniFi Protect into Slack. So that's awesome. So
brand new.
Yeah. Cool. That's all the little bits of unrelated news. We're now going to get into some hardware. So we've already discussed the UXG Enterprise and the EFG. The next one, which was kind of as part of a video, was the UMR Industrial. And this actually blew cover at the UWC. I remember seeing this at the event. They had these tables with all the new products on. And this is just a ruggedized version of the current UMR, which I've had a play around over the past few months. It's quite good. But this is a more outdoor-focused device. And in the video, there was this really cool deployment example where you could have, it does period pass-through. So you could power up a camera like a G5 PTZ and have a remote deployment of a camera with it as well. It looks so cool. And sort of a nice all-in-one solution for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I probably should have just ordered one because they shipped those out real fast. A buddy of mine in Vegas got one like next day, basically. I'm hoping that they send one for me to play around with. I was a little disappointed by it. It's essentially exactly the same as its predecessor here. It's not 5G. It's like an outdoor version of the UMR, hence UMR Industrial. In fact, they're the same price, but it is LTE Cat 4, so you're not looking at 5G speeds, and likely not going to want to use it as a cellular backup for your main hall internet. Or there you go, he's showing off the mobile router there, little bunny ears going on. No, this thing is a beast, and it's, in my opinion, and something also that they showed on the video there, is perfect for, as you mentioned, having either a solar setup or a couple of cameras powered through this thing, or powered through a switch nearby, and being able to just set those up and get them up and going for construction sites, events, conferences, venues. I mean, sky's the limit with those things, and that's what's super cool about these low-power cellular devices. I have a site in downtown Los Angeles that is a shopping center, and they have 6 cameras, and we had to run internet to the building because we tried another cellular system, and it just would not work with the cameras. It was only designed for a single hotspot. There was no routing involved, and in the end, we got the carrier to come out and install internet there, and then I have actually Hostify managed Ubiquiti switch there so that I can keep an eye on it, just so I can know if it goes offline, and then a couple of cameras downstream from that. But had this been around, I would have bought this in an instant, slapped it on the box, and called it a day and been done. So,
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of disappointing it's not 5G, and I agree with what you said. The only thing I would want to call out is it's a big deal for us in the U.S. It's not tied to AT&T like the other model is. So the non-industrial, you have to use AT&T as your carrier. This is unlocked, so I wish they would make an unlocked version of the other one. But yeah, that is the big deal to me about this one.
I know mobile plans in the US are quite expensive. Are there any... Because imagine if you had a camera on it, the data usage is quite high. Are there any quite affordable mobile SIMs for unlimited data that people could use with it? Not really, got no idea, to be honest. But
I would say with the business plans there are. So, for example, I have a client with, 20, 30, 40 T-Mobile business lines. They're about $30 a month for unlimited everything, and has all the perks that comes with T-Mobile. So you throw one of those in here, and you're looking at $30 a month. And yeah, technically it deprioritizes the traffic after 50 gig a month or something. But you're talking about cameras. Yeah, it's a solid amount. But the cameras are recording locally, so unless you are constantly streaming that, it's not going to be consuming that much. But even still, with deprioritize just means it's slower. It doesn't mean it's not going to go through.
Well, the deployment I was thinking about, because these devices have WireGuard now, so you could, in theory, have a data center with a UNVR. I got that messed up. UNVR in it, and then all these little UMRs sort of WireGuard back to the data center, and you can have these remote cameras in different places. So it'd be quite cool. But yeah,
that could be interesting. That would probably use up it depends on how many cameras you're putting up, but a whole bunch of cameras would definitely use up the amount of data that's allowed on those. But again, it's just deprioritized from there, so it's just slightly slower. And since if you would be streaming it, even like just the streaming output of those cameras is not a lot of data.
No, not really, no.
So it really doesn't need that much speed, which is, again, why 4G Cat 4 is just fine.
Cool. We've also got a new DisplayCast Pro. What have we got here, Evan? We've got a sort of an upgraded device, because I've got a display cast on the floor, which I haven't even opened yet, but there's already a new one.
That's a good advertisement for its usefulness there. But yeah, the regular one's $199. This one is $80 more. In the US is $279. And for that, you get upgraded from 4K 30 to 4K 60. It also adds UniFi Wi-Fi Auto Link, so it'll join a UniFi wireless network rather than use Ethernet if you want to do that. It adds support for web mode and USB-C peripherals. And I don't know too much about that world. Jesse, have you ever played around with these?
No, but I need to. I definitely want to get my hands on it. I have played around with Connect a little bit, but never with the DisplayCast Pro. I have used the DisplayCast in the past and found it slightly limited. So this actually addresses a lot of those features that I would want to be able to have. Having it connect over Wi-Fi, I think, is definitely important because a lot of these things are thrown up on a back of a screen somewhere and forgotten about. And oftentimes I'll go to a site and I'll be like, where's the controller for this? And they'll be like, I don't know, here's the server room. And it's nowhere to be found because it's literally duct taped to the back of the TV that it's on, which usually is 50 feet in the air or whatever. So yeah, it can definitely be a challenge to try and figure out how to troubleshoot those if you need hands-on with it. So Wi-Fi, for that, then you don't need to worry about cabling. You can just put the screen where they want it, connect it to Wi-Fi, and call it a day. I'm trying to remember what it was a while ago since I looked at it, so I'm trying to remember what the different features were that I wasn't too happy about it. But I love that it can do up to 4K YouTube videos on any HDMI display. Like that's very simple, straightforward. That's what you need. I know a lot of places are doing this with like Chrome boxes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But this just makes it super simple to be able to get it up and running. And it's also the same reason why I recommend on the camera side the Protect Viewport, which is very similar in function and style to this, because it's just an HDMI cable. You plug it into a Ethernet cable and you manage everything remotely. And that's one of the beautiful things about all this, is being able to just log in, manage it from anywhere. There are much more expensive services out there. I know I've worked with a bunch of them in the past that manage signage, and they charge through the nose. So if Ubiquiti can actually get in here and disrupt this, I'd be a happy man.
I'm thinking like menu screens, like in fast food restaurants and stuff. They have to be changed all the time. Having remote management for them would be quite a good idea. So yeah, I can't think of a
menu screens. Or go ahead.
I was going to say, in my limited experience with digital signage, the software is terrible, the service is unreliable, and everything's very expensive. So I agree. If you could spend $200 or $280 one time, and then hopefully that's supported for years to come, and you don't have a monthly expense, I think it could be worthwhile.
Yeah, I can't think of a use for the USB-C peripherals, but maybe like simple form filling in and stuff. Maybe like car park, you put in your license or registration just to register your stuff in the car park, maybe. But you have to use an iPad for that then, so not sure.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be like
interesting.
Microphone, camera, speaker. Like I'm trying to imagine what those accessories would be and what they'd be used for. I don't think. They mentioned keyboard and mouse control.
Yeah.
So.
Just to give you an idea, Airtame is one that I have used in the past. Is a digital signage product. Charges $600 for the device, which includes 3 years of their core license, which doesn't even have all of their features in it, and that's only one of them. Then you also have an Airtame hub, which is PoE plus built in, and 4K is $800, and then a different one that also has one USB-C and two USB-A for peripherals, which is kind of on par with this device, is $1,200 and only includes 1 year of their hybrid license. Wow. I don't even see where to find the pricing of the licenses themselves, and if, as they usually say, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. So just give you an idea of some of the other enterprise options that are out there. I mean, this is cheap compared to what else is out there. There's another one that's Yodeck. They're the more affordable one. I think or at least they used to run off of Raspberry Pis. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've looked into this, but they've got if you buy an annual plan with them, they give you the little recording device, or not recording device, the screen device for free. But yeah, that's a Raspberry Pi, so that's not a huge cost right there. So that's kind of the spectrum of what's out there for signage.
Yeah. sort of Ubiquiti's bread and butter, isn't it? It's taking expensive things that people hate and making a cheaper version with no licensing. So
Exactly. It's the no licensing.
Yep.
Okay, that's why I dropped Meraki like a hot potato.
cool. And then the headlining product to this episode is going to be the UniFi PowerAmp. And there was a lot of mixed feelings about this online over the past few days, but it's cool. It's just the use cases that it's definitely geared towards businesses and anything else, but yeah,
Businesses
cool.
and smart homes.
Yes,
Big, beautiful, expensive smart homes, because they want really high quality audio, but they don't want to know anything about how it works or manage it or anything. They just want it to happen in the background magically.
yeah. Cool. So
Do you guys have any experience with like Sonos and managing Sonos on a Ubiquiti network?
no. Have you?
Okay.
Evan's face
What
is
about you, Evan?
I think that's probably the number one complaint about UniFi that I've heard over the past 5 years. It's like, I have a smart speaker, it's on a different VLAN, things don't work. Why? Part of that was kind of rougher earlier implementations of their software, I think, especially like IGMP snooping and people just not understanding the networking behind that. I think things have definitely improved. My experience with Sonos and those kind of things is pretty limited. You know, I have a single Sonos speaker. I don't have a whole home wired or anything like that. Where I think the PowerAmp, and I think I'm blanking on the name of it's like the Sonos Amp, the Sonos Connect. They have a couple different devices that are kind of similar to this, where it's just an amplifier that you can, connect to speakers and then cast audio to them. They mention AirPlay 2 and Spotify Connect support.
Mm-hmm.
And some fairly impressive 2.1, 2 speakers and a subwoofer, pretty high wattage support. They also support Dolby Atmos. So it seems like it's not a speaker. It would replace those Sonos devices that kind of make a dumb speaker smart and kind of play into the smart home. It just $699, I believe.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So.
Yeah, this is a little bit on the pricier side compared to what I actually would be using it to replace. The Sonos Zone Player 90 Connect is possibly what you're thinking of. It's a little white box where you plug your wired fancy speakers into it, and then it's got a network on it as well as optical, coax, etc. And it becomes your streaming device for your existing wired-in, likely expensive speakers. And that right now is $159, but it's used because they don't make those anymore. So the new Sonos stuff is a little bit much more modern and updated, but the port, which is their network audio streamer, is $500, so somewhat similar. I don't know the specs of it, so I can't compare directly across, but I will tell you I was one of those folks that had a hell of a time trying to manage a Ubiquiti network with 30 of those Sonos Connect boxes on there. And for whatever reason, every single one of the Sonos boxes on the network wanted to be the network controller, and were wrestling for control of the network from each other and from Ubiquiti, and to the point where it's just the network would crumble to its knees and nothing would work unless I unplugged all the Sonos boxes.
Wow.
Which is what I ended up doing. And these are for a home that has speakers in every room, and as I mentioned before, totally automated. So between the daylight hours in most of the rooms, it plays fancy classical music on a piano, etc., etc. In the lobby, they actually have a smart piano. I say lobby, it's a house, but the entryway, they actually have a smart piano that plays itself. And the bathrooms all have music, and it's all customized and automated through the Sonos system, which admittedly is not the best way to do it, but that's how they set it up. I inherited that part of the project. I had to rip out all the Sonos boxes because it was completely conflicting with the Ubiquiti network.
Huh.
And I am very excited to get my hands on these and see if this can solve their audio solutions, because they were thinking of dropping somewhere in the area of $10,000 to $15,000 on the equivalent Savant equipment, which is basically the Apple of Like Ubiquiti is kind of like the Apple of networking. They're the Apple of high-end smart home audio and automations. And they already have a smart home control, or they already have a Savant controller for their TV management. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe you want to look at the Savant Music Manager because you're dying to get your music back, but Ubiquiti stuff doesn't quite work. Now, I understand it's been a while, and I understand that some people have gotten, with the newer versions of Ubiquiti, have gotten Sonos to work, but at this point, they already donated the Sonos boxes and got rid of them. So they're looking for a new solution, and I was very happy to see these announced, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and start testing it in that environment.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the amp and the port, those are the two devices I was thinking of, and I was also thinking of the old discontinued box that you mentioned. Yeah, it's really interesting, especially since Sonos has been going through a bit of trouble lately.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to dive into that, but yeah, they rolled out a new app that is worse than their old
Terrible.
app, and they can't roll back, and it seems like a very opportune time for Ubiquiti to release this, so we'll see how it is once, hopefully, Jesse gets one and does a review.
Okay.
Gets 1 or 10, that'd be great.
Yeah, so it's a pretty, as Evan mentioned, it's a pretty powerful amp. To me, it seems like it can do two different things. One is you get these like internet connected amps like Yamaha ones and is it Pioneer? I don't think it is anyway. But they have connections for HDMI, so you can pass audio through the TV with eARC. eARC is what the Apple TV uses to get audio through to the HomePods and stuff. But it seems like you can only connect two speakers, like left and right channels, and then a sub. I think that's right. So it's definitely limited to sort of one little area potentially. So it's not like a surround sound. Well, yes, it's a 2-to-1, so it's not really a surround sound system replacement. But what made me think it was more targeted toward businesses is one of the services that they say it works with. It's like Sound Your Brand, which is like a background music service. So it works with that directly. So to me, I think it does a few different things. Like, yes, it could be used in a big home, like the one Jesse was mentioning, but it could also be used in a business where they want background music. And one of the images they had in the video was like all these power amps in a rack, sort of as they were. But yes, also you could have it in your TV cabinet for surround sound for that sort of use. But yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely a new direction for them. Next, we think of the AR DSLR, which is sort of a toy for Robert, maybe, but.
I believe Soundtrack, your brand is, it was Spotify Business. Now it's Spotify for business and commercial use. So that was a easy jump for them to integrate because they're already building out the Spotify integration.
Got you.
But I have used it, and it's super smooth and very nice to use. So
yeah,
looking forward.
So yeah, Evan mentioned it's $5.99 in the US. It's got a little knob on the front with a touchscreen. There's a UniFi Play app. So there's no console required or anything. It's just all app based. I guess the device itself is the console in that regard. And also for your project you're mentioning, you can actually connect up to 32 of these in one zone. So. Right. Which is mental. So.
Yeah, I like how they say group control with the UniFi Play app, which is a brand new app from Ubiquiti here. But it's interesting. They made them, very nicely designed like they like to do, and they put this scroll wheel, rotary knob, touchscreen, etc. on the front. But quite frankly, aren't we just going to all throw these in a rack like everything else and manage it via the app? Like, I don't know how often, I guess on the smaller setups, maybe folks are going to be using the knob or just a quick volume adjustment if you're going to leave it out, on a shelf in a audio setup where it's directly connected. But I mean, for the client that I was talking about before, all of the audio controls are actually they have 4 separate racks throughout the house. So based on regional and zone wiring, etc.
Yeah.
Well, hey, for $5.99, you get a premium 1.43-inch rotary knob with touchscreen per unit, whether you want it or not. It's a little confusing if it's in rack, but yeah, if it's out, I guess that's
exactly.
an easy way to control volume if it's accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then we've got a few. That's basically the main headlining hardware stuff. We've got a few little footnotes of hardware. So the G5 Dome, which was announced a few months ago. Oh, have we got one for show and tell? We have.
Not the black one,
No.
only the white one.
So the G5 Dome now comes in black, which will help it blend into different surfaces and stuff. So pretty good. They definitely avoided having black cameras for a while because of, I guess, fear of heat, because they absorb heat a lot better. But they seem to have adopted that.
But they're so much cooler.
Yeah.
What am I holding here? This is the AI bullet.
Oh, nice.
I've got them all.
Catch them all.
Exactly.
G5 Dome Ultra, now comes in black, and there are related accessories for it in those different colors as well. We've also got a new push to exit button for UniFi Access. This nicely goes hand in hand with the what's it called, the UniFi Access Ultra little hub device, because you could just we've got another one
that I do have on hand to show off. Yes. I have a video about this on my channel also. This is the one that has the a little bit controversial, but the included hub inside. And people are like, oh, don't put it on anything highly secure because you can take a hammer to it, rip it out. Yes, it does make a siren based on this button here. When you whack it, like if you just knock on it, it does make a siren, which is pretty loud. But the second you unplug the PoE, it goes dead because no more power.
Yep.
And to their point, if you bring a 12 volt and you want to undo a mag lock or another lock, you just zzz, and you're in. So you may not want to have it on exterior doors, but dude, for indoor doors, for offices, things that are not highly secure, dude, these are gonna be flying. I love them.
Yeah, and then they've got this nice little in-house sort of first-party button to have on the other side of the door, which makes sense for these internal doors. We don't need another reader on the other side. So nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I like for the Access Ultra they say tamper resistant. That doesn't mean hammer or crowbar resistant, as with most things.
No, it is solid. It's not. This is plastic. It's not steel, but it makes a siren.
Yeah, fancy. I noticed this one on the store the other day. This is the Gate Access starter kit. So we've now got a starter kit for elevators or lifts. We've got a starter kit Pro. What's that there?
This is the Gate Access starter kit. This is the Gate Access hub.
You got everything.
And, I do, actually, just about.
Oh, the intercom. Nice.
This is the intercom. It actually comes in the kit with the Gate Access starter,
right.
So that's why you get one of each.
Yeah, very nice.
So I pulled it up here.
The intercom just looks like a comically large phone.
Yeah.
Especially when you hold it in your hand like that. It's just,
hello.
It's weird.
This is like from Get Smart, the shoe phone.
Yeah.
Hello. I need reinforcements. Yeah, folks, it's bigger than my head. It is. It's massive.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a 27-inch monitor, and it's almost as tall as the monitor.
Wow.
So next to me here. But you know what? It's a big, bold, beautiful screen, and I do appreciate the physical buttons that are on it, because on the Doorbell Pro, I think it is. No, not the Doorbell.
Oh,
Pro,
I know what you mean.
The G2 Reader Pro.
Yeah.
Trying to type in a code on a little. How wide is that screen? 2
So
inches?
small.
1 inch? You have to really use the pads of your fingers. These are physical buttons. You can push them. and a physical doorbell, because you know how many times people walk up to the what do you call it? The Access G2 Reader Pro and are trying to figure out how to ring the doorbell, because there's no, it's clear, but people don't read. So this has an actual bell on the button that rings the doorbell for, people that don't read. So definitely thankful for that.
Yeah. This one I found really cool because they mentioned it in that video that we discussed earlier, where this has support for the license plate unlock feature. I suppose it's all in one, and that works for the AI cameras, but not the 360. But it's just so cool. You can unlock the gates based on people's registration or license plate numbers, which is really, really cool, or little NFC tag or whatever. So.
Yeah, it's about time. This is rather popular in Europe and in Israel. And in fact, my in-laws, in order to get into their little community that they live in, I say little because it's not like a city, but it's get into their community that they live in, has a license plate reader at the gate. And that's how they are able to get in and out. And it's just so easy without having to punch in a code or have a key card or have a button in the car, which is what everybody in America has been doing for years. I think I don't think I'm allowed to say their name, but starts with a V, and it's another enterprise security camera company. They also started rolling this out, which I may have bugged the hell out of them until they said, fine, we'll develop it. I may have had something to do with that because I also manage deployments with them and have a couple hundred cameras in operation. And that was like one of the key things. I was like, you guys have to build this. This needs to come. And then I saw Ubiquiti built it. I was like, yes. So very excited for that. And it works. I mean, you do have to have the cameras lined up correctly for it to read the license plates because, and I should probably do a video on this on my channel, but essentially I have my test rig, like 6 or 7 cameras all up on the wall here, and it's not exactly angled the best for license plates. It's kind of just sort of pointing at the street.
Right.
So I'll get license plate recognitions that'll just be fed from the FedEx truck going by. So if you're not actually pointing at the right angle and this is with every camera. This isn't a Ubiquiti problem. This is you need to have it lower down. It has to be during the day or well lit at night, and it needs to be pointing at the license plates. Otherwise, you're going to get people's phone numbers and brand names as LPR, which doesn't unlock anything. But other than that, as long as you've got those things set up there, I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. In the kit, you get the hub, you get the intercom reader, you get period extenders, you get period plus adapters as well. So it requires BT Piri for that. But yeah, I thought it was quite cool. And that's $6.99 in the US for that one. Cool.
I do hope that they're going to start selling the gate access alone. Like right now, I think you can just get it as part of the starter kit.
Oh, yes, that's right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you can buy the access hub individually. You can buy the intercom individually. But they don't allow or they don't sell individually just the gate access hub, which is this box.
Yep.
UA hub-gate. And it is a different box. It has different lights, different inputs, different
relays and
pretty
stuff,
much everything. I mean, it's different relays. It's the same shape and size as the access one, but it is dedicated for this. And I hope that they're selling this independently of the rest of that, because then if you're building it out, it just allows for much more customizability.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did test on this is you can have two of what is this thing called again?
Intercom.
The intercom.
Something.
2 of the intercoms connected to the same gate hub. So if you want to have an intercom on one side of the gate and an intercom on the other side of the gate, you can have them connected to the same box. It will power them both.
Huh.
And I was doing that here, but I unplugged everything so that I could bring it over and show you. But I do have 2 of those, and I did test it, and it works great. So
fair enough. I didn't know you could do that. That's cool.
Yep. There was somebody asked on one of my videos, and I was like, you know what? Good question. And I came into the studio, plugged them in, and went, hey, it works.
And yeah,
Nice.
I assume they will sell them standalone eventually. I think they did the same thing with the Access hub when it originally came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, Evan, do you want to run us through the next big version of UniFi Network 8.4.59? We've got a lot of new stuff in here. Have you had a chance to play with this yet, or?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Install early access on everything. Doesn't
Nice.
matter. But yeah, so this is 8.4.
That's what the test rack is for.
Hey, not all of us have a test rack. Some of us test in production. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh.
I'm kidding. But yeah, so this is 8.4.59. This is the first major release. I think it's been about 2 months or so since 8.3. And this covers a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about. Passpoint, Hotspot 2.0, the Pro AV support. So that's some software features to go along with the, what is that, PowerAmp? To go with the PowerAmp. And that what basically boils down to advanced IGMP snooping and automated QoS. There's a lot of nicer features. There's a lot of UI improvements. I love that there's basically every column on the client's view is sortable now. Before, only some of them were sortable. There's just like little nitpicky UI things. A lot of them were addressed in this release. And then one of the bigger features was packet captures. So you can do packet captures on an access point, and in this release at least you can do it on the uplink switch port. They mentioned that for gateways and other wired interfaces, that support's coming in the future. So eventually you'll be able to do packet captures anywhere, whether it's wireless interface, wired interface. But for now it's just on the APs and the AP uplink ports. And all the Pro AV stuff, they have some good help articles about that. But yeah, so it's basically just a pretty wrapper on auto QoS and some more functionality tied to IGMP. And they even have specifically, they call out, I think, like 6 or 7 different brands of audio equipment that they're already set up to support at a click of a button. And then there's customized options below that if you need to tweak certain things with IGMP, you can. And probably the biggest update that I'm very excited about is you can finally rename your default network. It is not stuck with the name of default.
Yay.
So yeah, being serious, there are a ton of smaller things. Those are kind of the big highlight items, though.
I noted we had Passpoint, which is Hotspot 2.0. That came around a while back, I think, a few years ago, and they sort of removed it. But this is like a second attempt at this kind of thing, isn't it? Really. And I never knew. Yeah, I never knew what it was for, but they explained it in the demo video loosely. But it's basically, if you ever see like Wi-Fi networks that are the same SSID as your mobile phone carrier, it's a way of, when they're using coffee shops, but they are here anyway. It's a way of getting. I think they said getting traffic offloaded from the 5G network to Wi-Fi networks. So.
Yeah, and there's an 802.11 standard. I think it's 802.11u, which is basically what this actually is. There's 5 different names for it. And yeah, I do remember it being there before. They removed it. It's back. But brand new, never heard of it before feature. Definitely not something they removed in the past, for sure.
Yeah, and they mentioned it was you could use it for, like, if you've got a hotel chain with multiple different locations, people wouldn't have to sign in again to use them. So that was quite cool.
Anything that makes Portal or guest Wi-Fi networks better, big fan of that, because they're anyone who's ever managed them knows they're kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be. I meant to ask, with the, I don't know if you've had a chance to use it, with the packet capture, is that basically the same as not WireGuard? What's that? Wireshark, sorry.
Wireshark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wireshark's a really common tool to view packet captures. This gives you the packet capture itself. So once you get the packet capture, you can open it up in Wireshark or whatever tool you want.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I played around with it just in a very basic example, just to kind of see what the features look like. But I mean, it does what it says. It gives you a little PCAP file. So it's yet another in the long line of enterprise features, quote unquote enterprise features that they're working on.
I'll have to play around with that. But one cool feature was when you go into settings, then Wi-Fi, you can see all the channels in a little color chart, which is quite nice. You can see where and how you've used each channel, which is quite a nice feature. So great.
Yeah, and there's a new branding for that. It's AP Analyzer. So if you updated to 8.4 and you see AP Analyzer, that's kind of the new branding for that. And then they have a lot of real-time data, logging, channelization, all of those things about your wireless. They've done a lot of work on that.
Sweet. Yeah, nice big update. Nice. You had a chance to play with that at all yet, Jesse, or you don't test EA stuff on your main network like Evan?
Hey, it's GA now.
Like I said, I have. It's GA, but I also have the test network here running all the test stuff. I haven't played around with it too much. I actually was just taking a peek at it while you guys were talking about it. I do second the pain and suffering that comes with managing hotspots or trying to have people log in or put in their email addresses for Wi-Fi access. So that's interesting. Passpoint definitely looks interesting. I need to sit down and dig into how that works and see if I have any hardware that'll support it and see if I can do a test on it, because it seems like a big deal. I just need to dig in and figure out why.
I had a brief look at the settings. There's lots of fields for setting up a new SSID, like API stuff. There's like lots of different fields, which I glanced down and thought, okay, I'll have a look at that another day. But yeah, definitely quite cool. So
yeah, so Hotspot 2.0, you can choose Captive Portal or Passpoint, and Passpoint requires an external radius profile configured, it says. And apparently my AP6 requires a newer version to support Passpoint, which is interesting.
Yeah, and that,
Yeah, there's software version limitations and AP model. It seems like it's only the U6 and U7 APs are getting this. So if you're still on an AC access point, this feature, and I believe the packet capture is the same. It's only on the U6 and U7 APs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I was also noting that some of the newer APs have the ability to do the signal analysis and the capture whilst using the AP. Capture, obviously, you can, but signal analysis, you had to stop broadcasting in order to do that. But now they have dedicated radios, which is quite nice. But that's already a couple months old. But you guys have probably covered it already.
Yeah, and that's only on the Pro Max, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, the 7 Pro Max.
We also got multi-link operation support (MLO) with UniFi Access Point 7.1.18, and I think from memory that version of software is only applicable to the U7 devices. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, MLO in general it's a Wi-Fi 7 feature.
Okay. And that is the feature where it can use both 2.4 and 5 as downlink and uplinks. That's right, isn't it?
There's several flavors of MLO, but yes,
Okay.
there's multiple band, and then there's also multiple AP. So the idea is your one client can join 2 different access points, or it can join the same access point on 2 different bands. I haven't played around with this. To be honest, I don't have any Wi-Fi 7 devices right now.
No, neither do I.
I do have a Wi-Fi 7 card that isn't supporting my AMD motherboard, I believe is the situation. So I need to get a new Wi-Fi 7 card that's actually compatible with my machine. But yes, MLO is something they promised months ago. This 7.1.18 is the first one to support it for the U7 access points. And the other 7.0.66 and 6.6.77, these version numbers are a mouthful. But that added support for the Hotspot 2.0. So Jesse, if you didn't install those, looks like it's time to do that if you want to play around with the Hotspot.
Yep.
Nice. It says improved Ethernet negotiation with some third-party switches, improves roaming, and fixes several client interoperability issues. It's too late in the day for me now. And then the bus point stuff as well. Nice. Some nice software updates there. And I added this little one to the show notes. I forgot to put a link in, but Protect Chime 1714 now has support for custom Chime sounds, and I believe you can upload an MP3 to the Chime itself, so you could play some dog barking or something, or whatever you need.
I did see that. I haven't used it yet, though. I need to both play around with adding the custom GIF to the doorbell and also the custom chime to the chime.
Yeah, you could get up to some dangerous stuff with custom sounds and custom GIFs there, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Nice. And then that's all the software and hardware, and then we've got the other section, which is like some RIP to some hardware, some little tidbits and accessories that I noticed are on the store now. First one is the SolarSwitch has been removed from the store. So if you're a long-term listener to the show, you know me and Evan have talked about the SolarPoint quite a few times now. Its little brother, the SolarSwitch, which is the indoor version, has now been removed from the store. It never came back in stock whenever the SolarPoint did, so I guess Ubiquiti didn't think it was that important to keep around. I guess most of these outdoor installations, like the one I've done, is just outdoors. Totally did it inside.
A sad day.
Sad times. Sad times.
And I noticed this literally probably 3 hours before we start recording. There's a new SSD variant of the CloudKey Plus, or CloudKey Gen 2 Plus. So if you go on the store, what I was doing was looking at the CloudKeys and gateways, and I noticed that the CloudKey Plus had a new product collection section, which means it's got multiple versions of itself. And there's a new version of it, which includes a SSD version. So it's $199 for the hard drive version, 2.5-inch hard drive, and then it's $249 for the 1 terabyte SSD. So you're paying about $50 more. I don't know what hard drive they're using because that SSD is not on the store to buy separately, but I imagine it's something relatively good. So
I imagine it's similar to the what do you call it? The
Toshiba one.
Gateway, the Gateway Max.
Oh,
well, yeah.
The Max is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the Max has the
not the Gateway.
M.2 slots. It's the Cloud Gateway
Cloud Gateway
Max.
Right.
Has the selectable storage, and that's an M.2 SSD and NVMe, I believe. This
It is, yeah.
I wish they had some internal pictures or some more details. I would assume worst case scenario, this is a 2.5-inch SATA SSD, which are pretty cheap. I doubt that they would redesign it internally to support M.2 SSDs since it's just a 2.5-inch bay device. But I don't know. I'm sure it'd be a huge improvement in responsiveness, especially for larger setups. They don't really specify if it increases camera limits or anything like that, but me personally, I would rather have an SSD. I'm sure it'll help with responsiveness at the very least.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the M.2 SSD tray accessory, which I don't know if you guys have seen, which is made for the Cloud Gateway Max, it says it's compatible with the Cloud Gateway Max. It does not list anything else.
Oh, yeah.
So it's possible it's a different form factor, or it's possible that they don't want it
Yeah.
included with that yet.
I saw something horrific.
It seems like the form factor should be similar.
Yeah. I saw something horrific on Reddit earlier. I have to put a picture on the video, but someone had bought the Cloud Gateway Max without the SSD tray, and then they sort of pried it open like a baked bean, like a can, and sort of teared away all the plastic. And then this got announced today, or yesterday. So I'll have to try and find a picture to send you guys, but it just looked horrific.
Did they do that because they wanted a smaller Cloud Gateway Max?
They wanted to put a M.2 drive in it. But it doesn't have the tray. So I think if you buy it without the tray, I think you have to. It doesn't. I think it's just empty space, isn't it? You have to sort of. Yeah.
I mean, no storage. It doesn't even have the. No, it has the spot for the tray. You talking about the Cloud Gateway Max?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you buy it no storage, I mean, I haven't gotten one without the storage. I have the one that came with the 512.
It probably just has like a plastic
I would
cap.
imagine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the sled internally.
It has, yeah.
But it would just have a cover.
I actually have information on that I can share. I don't know that anybody else has talked about this yet, but essentially, you can use a third-party M2 NVMe SSD with the no storage model, and that's where you need the M2 SSD tray accessory that I mentioned before, and I can give you a link to throw this into the show notes here. Where to go?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Good to know, because I'm sure a lot of people either don't see the need for storage when they buy it and want to upgrade later, or buy their own cheaper. I don't know. It seems like the upgrade pricing wasn't outrageous, but especially in the future, you could buy a bigger drive or upgrade that yourself.
Yeah, they didn't have.
Yeah, and I don't know what the. Go ahead.
Sorry, they didn't have the guy on Reddit didn't have the tray, the sled as you called it, so he couldn't actually get into the bay to plug the SSD in. So yeah.
Interesting. So I mean, the right way to do that is using this link here. Oh, you just changed something while I was trying to paste.
Oh, sorry.
In the show notes there. That's okay. I added it to the area above. The right way to do it is with the link that'll be in the show notes. It's called UACC-SSD-tray. If you want to look it up in the store, it's available September 23rd, and it costs $19 in the U.S. And it supports 2230, 2242, 2260, 2280, or 22110 sized M.2 NVMEs.
Huh.
FYI.
Nice.
And it does have some images on there on how you can do it. Now, I don't know if you can. I think did Tom Lawrence show it? I'm trying to remember. One of the other creators showed. I think somebody, maybe it wasn't him. Somebody showed opening up the current M2 SSD that comes with the Cloud Gateway Max, and it was just a SSD, like a normal SSD in there.
Oh, right.
So theoretically, you could just pull, another SSD and put it in.
Yep.
But I haven't had a chance to test that yet. So
sounds good.
Subscribe and expect a future video.
Nice plug.
Thank you.
We've got a new camera accessory for the G5 PTZ. It's a conduit adapter, which, judging by the pictures, I think it means you can attach it to a pipe, or some sort of conduit at the end of a conduit potentially. So, so that's really good. We noticed on the podcast last time that when all the different cameras got launched, the amount of accessories available for the cameras was just very, very extensive, and this is another improvement on that. So that's really good. There's some teardown pictures at the bottom of the store link there. So yeah, looks nice clean installation, keep it all weatherproof and stuff. So that's available now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm looking at the install guide on this, and I'm trying to see if you just pop it on the end, or if you could have a way to do like another conduit continue on the other side if you have another cable running through there.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
because it's not entirely clear. I show it on the right side. I show it on the left side, but I don't show it connected to both sides.
Maybe not then.
Maybe they're only expecting a pipe big enough for one cable to
Potentially.
fit in that hole there. I don't know. The rest of it looks like the standard mount that came with it. As far as the grommet that goes in there and the cover, like a lot of this is overlapping design. But I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I'll have to get a copy, get a piece of it. It's $30. Not bad.
Yeah, pretty good. And then this very last one, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's called the CWDM Mux Demux 8. I've got no idea what this is for. It says increasing
What the hell is this?
increasing capacity of existing fiber infrastructure. And there's a lot of words on this page, but I don't really know what they mean.
No, it's French. It's
So this is fiber.
Yeah, so is this some sort of like fiber patch panel? This is the first time I'm looking at this.
Potentially.
Same.
Yeah. I guess CWDM is a different type of fiber because there's yeah, I don't know. Just says rack mountable 8-channel designed to increase capacity of existing fiber installations, designed for use with the pro aggregation and aggregation switches. Just says coming soon. Maybe it's like a light splitter. As someone's listening to this, going to think I'm stupid, but you plug some fibers in and it gets split out potentially. So
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But hey, if you know, comment down below.
yeah, let us know.
Trying to pull it up on the. What I like to do is I go to the techspecs.ui.com.
Yeah, we love that page.
As well, because there's more images there usually. They have marketing images and stuff. It's not even. It shows it in the search, but it's not. Oh, here it is. I'm on it. I'm an idiot. Data sheet, marketing images,
Some live
and the
feedback.
installation guide you can obviously get from. Sorry.
Some live feedback on the show.
Yeah. Let's see here. No, just the marketing images. The installation guide is also available on the main product page, but I also usually go there to find some more information about that. But it doesn't show even the installation.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here.
And they also have optical modules for this. So I'm assuming this would tie in with UFiber. And yeah, it seems like it's kind of like a 1-to-8 splitter or multiplexer,
the install guide.
I should say.
The install guide is telling you what to do here. Yeah, it's. Yeah, there's lots of different options here.
It's got all of us staring at this.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
quite a
words
diagram.
here. Yes.
Yeah, I found some pictures on the install guide. It tells you. I don't understand what it's doing. So one of our listeners should know more about fiber than we do. They can let us know. But that's available soon or available now. So that's interesting. Coming soon. So.
Only available in Europe, by the way, which may be why I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, really?
This product is available in the Ubiquiti EU store.
I see it in the US.
Yeah, what I've done is I've
do you?
I've put a link to the EU store and a UK store in the show notes. That's why.
Well, it's okay. You said you're seeing it in the US store?
Yes. Yeah, Alex's links always lead me to the UK store, so I'm so used to switching regions. But yeah, if you just go to the upper left, hit the drop down, hit US. I'm not sure. It's under SFP and Fiber, under accessories for UniFi, even?
Oh, there it is. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it is available now. $350 for the 8-channel. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there are new receivers for it. So SFP Plus transceiver for CWDM that supports 10 gig up to 20K. Huh. Yeah. One of our listeners can let us know.
For all the branding and effort that they put into UniFi expanding up to enterprise, and like that's kind of been the theme of the year that we keep talking about, I wish they spent a fraction of that effort on the UISP side for UFiber for devices like this. Like, I mean, I didn't hear about it. I mean, we're all Ubiquiti nerds here, and it was new to two of us. So it seems like they don't really put a lot of effort into promoting these products or getting them in front of people that would potentially be interested in them.
So I just googled CWDM. It said it's a kind of wavelength division multiplexing. It said it enables multiple data streams to be transmitted over different light wavelengths through one single fiber. So I guess it's just a way of expanding.
Yeah, more capacity out of a single fiber run.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We've cleared
Filters
that
it into different channels, each carrying a separate data stream.
up.
So,
Interesting.
coarse wavelength division multiplexing for those playing the home game.
There we go. Awesome. That's all the news we've got for this month. Before we part ways, is there anything that we've been working on that you'd like to let people know about? You've got something quite fun, Evan.
Yeah, I don't know what inspired me, but I just randomly thought of something about, like, I think I was looking at the specs for the EFG, and I just thought of the gateway models visualized as Pokemon, and like what would their attributes be, what would their special attack be, those kind of things. So that's how productive I've been with writing in my website lately. This is like the one big thing I worked on this month was I made Pokemon cards for the various gateway models, and with some fun little minor things on those if you look at them. But I'm also planning on actually doing some writing and actually being productive. I've been kind of taking this summer as a kind of nice little break, so hopefully this fall I'll be back in the swing of things.
You've been saying that all year.
Have I?
No.
Yeah.
I'm
serious. I'm serious this time. I'm serious.
No, we should make these and sell them as UI chat merch. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
Bring them to the next World Conference.
Yeah, you could do some Pokemon trading. My favourite one is the Dream Wall. It says spouse approved. Mounts to a wall and looks prettier than traditional rack-mounted Pokemon.
Yes. And speaking of something we talk about every month, my cat has been very ornery and very loud today. It's I'm in a room without air conditioning and it's 100 degrees outside, so oof. I am sweating. Oy. And me and my cat are both getting a little feisty.
Yeah. With the stuff I've been working on, I had a first gen HomePod since it was came out, and it sadly died a while back. It just went on a boot loop and wouldn't resolve itself. I contacted Apple and they wanted £300 or $300 to repair it. And there's a long-term HomePod repairman, Nick's Fix. He's from the States, and he finally has worked out a way of fixing them, and it basically puts the HomePod in DFU mode, similar to what iPods and stuff do. And I managed to fix mine today using this little adapter. So this, if you pop the bottom off a HomePod, there's some little pins, and this adapter he makes has a USB-C on the other end, and it connects to the data lines on the bottom of the HomePod, and using some command lines, using Homebrew, I managed to restore it. So shout out to Nick's Fix.
Nice.
That's awesome. So I managed to get it working today, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Well done.
Yeah. So if everyone's got any broken HomePods out there, you can fix them now. So.
I don't have any broken HomePods, but I do have something that I've been working on that is related to this show.
Go on then.
2 years ago, I promised to do a video breaking down a large up in the mountains, almost off the grid network at a. They have 65 cabins now. It's like a cabin in the woods, Airbnb getaway type place, and all the switches, or a bunch of the switches, are connected via fiber in the ground. And I promised this in a video that I did unboxing the Starlink business. Excuse me. And I was just up there this past week and finally filmed it. It took forever to film, but essentially sharing how I think the network has 160 Ubiquiti network devices alone.
Wow.
Not clients, Ubiquiti network devices, because it's covering Wi-Fi and wired network across over 200 acres. And so that's what I'm working on now, is basically putting all the pieces to that together. I did some drone footage because it's an enormous property. Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's in the mountains, 5,000 feet elevation. And so I promised to do a video breaking down that network. And so I'm finally getting around to that 2 years later.
Very nice, yeah. So what are you using for the devices and stuff? Like, what's the main gateway? Where have you got their stuff hosted and stuff?
Yeah, so right now it's a UXG. It is actually hosted with Hostify. And I have been thinking about switching them over to a UDM Max so that I can take advantage of shadow mode. They have power issues and stuff up in the mountains. They are on the grid for most of the property. Part of it is completely off the grid, and they have a huge solar field, which I cover as well. But they just, I've got battery backups in there, but shit just breaks. Like, it's up in the woods. Things are hokey, things break. I actually have like almost a mini Ubiquiti store store there just because you need to be able to pull things off the shelf
Yeah,
because shipping takes days. It's not like I live outside of LA, right? I can get something, a new part or whatever off of Amazon. Not always Ubiquiti. Ubiquiti is 2-day shipping here, but still, you can get stuff fast. Up there, it just doesn't happen. And so having redundancy and automatic failover, especially for a larger property when they're having bigger events and stuff, when they rent it out, could be a good move there. But at the moment, it's the UXG at the head, and then I have a 48-port Pro PoE switch that is powering some of the stuff locally, as well as the downlinks to the other areas of the property. And from there, it goes into a couple of fiber lines that go to a couple of fiber distribution points, which either receive fiber with another switch that has fiber input, or we're also using a lot of the, what are they called? The not the enterprise version of it, the 8-port switches, the Pro, what the hell is it called? I'm blanking on it. The Enterprise 8 PoE, but the Pro version of it, the Pro 8 PoE, because those have two fiber inputs on there.
Nice.
And so those are great for a cabin or two that only need a camera or two in the outside areas, and then Wi-Fi inside the cabins, and a little bit of switching going on. It's not a huge amount of data because again, it's Starlink business, and so the whole property is using 300 meg down. They consumed 7 terabytes of data last month, but it's on the slow side of the highway there. But one of the things that they discovered is that people who go away for the weekend or go away for on vacation, whatever, they love to touch grass, get into the wild, disconnect, and then at the end of the day, still like to watch Netflix or Prime Video or whatever streaming service they watch. And so that's why all of the cabins have Wi-Fi in them and TVs, smart TVs, and they can do all the streaming and stuff. And so all the access points are Ubiquiti. I just put up the U7 Outdoor. They have a large pavilion space and a large lake area, so we got U7 Outdoors on those. Once they figure out how to do PoE over fiber, then I'll be able to get rid of some of the other infrastructure and just have one plug, which would be great, but I haven't seen that be invented yet. So right now we've got the Pro 8 PoE switches in there to switch from the fiber and add power, and then from there we power a couple cameras and APs. And it's pretty much rock solid, and everyone is always shocked because there's zero cell service up there. You can't get anything. And I think it's safe to say that we've got the best internet setup on the mountain.
Very nice. Looking forward to that video when it comes out. That'd be quite cool to watch.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, it might take me a week or two because it's a lot of editing.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks, Evan and Jesse. Thanks, Jesse, for coming on this show as well. It's been good to have you on. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Thank you. And before you guys jump, I just want to say thank you to you for creating this resource, and Evan also for years that I spent learning all of this Ubiquiti stuff, referred to a ton of your charts and articles on your website, and learning how access points are actually using radio signals and making all this shit work, and the magic behind the curtain, if you will. So thank you for all the work you've done on that as well.
Happy to be of service.
Lovely stuff. We are the only Ubiquiti podcast out there, so I think that's going to be the case for a while. It's definitely quite a niche. So,
is that a challenge?
Is that a challenge? No.
I was going to say, Jesse, you seem to start podcasts you have 3 of them? I don't know how many you're currently.
Well, I shut down the Google Workspace podcast and then
really?
switched to doing almost exclusive Ubiquiti content to get caught up on the Ubiquiti side. The Workspace podcast was taking enormous amounts of time because it was very, very detailed and included, lots of different areas and elements of the show. And then we started getting into guests, and it started getting longer and longer. And I was working full time at that point and just didn't have the bandwidth for it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm doing the whole creator thing and consulting thing full time, so that I'm basically starting to make some money off YouTube, but more money from sponsors, and then the rest of the money from consulting. But that also opens up a lot more time to do content, and so I'm going to start doing more Google stuff, but less of a podcast, because we've been talking now for an hour and 15, and I don't know how long it takes you to edit, but I know that can be very involved. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing more podcasts. I have another show that's called SaaS Showdown, which is also on the channel, which is talking about all things SaaS. I don't record that one. That's 2 other hosts rather. Sorry, guys. Colin and Rose. They're hosts. They host the show. I just edit and produce, etc. Make them, add some effects and overlays and make it look good and stuff. Those are the main shows that I have now in the works. Maybe theoretically there's some other things I want to do, but first I want to nail down the format and the process for doing all these tech review videos. And Ubiquiti has just been on a tear coming out with hardware, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to focus on anything else lately. So we'll see.
Nice.
Now it's Techtember, so get ready.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, before we all shoot off, where can they find you on the internet, Evan? Where people can find all your content?
evanmccann.net.
Fantastic. And then Jesse as well, where can they find you?
Yeah, so most of my stuff these days is on YouTube at tabGeeks, TAB Geeks, and that stands for Tech and Business Geeks, and is all resources and information that IT admins and professionals need. It does overlap a little bit into the consumer because a lot of consumers use Ubiquiti gear and cameras and stuff, so that's always interesting. Other than that, Twitter, Mr. J Nowlin. I'm on there way more than I probably should be. I should be working and making more videos, but I'm addicted. What can I say? And then LinkedIn, I'm Jesse Nowlin. Feel free to reach out.
Nice one. There are links in the show notes. You can find the interface at theinterface.uk, all sorts of news and coverage there. There's car videos on YouTube, there's tech videos on YouTube as well, and then all the podcasts as well. Thanks everyone for joining us. And then as always, you can find this podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. For a full description of this show and all the links, visit the episode link in the show notes. If anyone has any Ubiquiti related questions, please email them to info@theinterface.uk, and we'll try and go through them in a future episode. It's always good fun to do. Thanks for listening to the UI Chat podcast. If you like what we do, follow the show on all the podcast platforms and on YouTube. Give us a rating, that really helps other people find this show. Without further ado, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.